welcome to Geek Responsibly. I'm Jenna Clark, and with me today is...
I'm Jason, sometimes called Van. I actually have a podcast of my own called TMJ Sindrome.
Yes, and if you haven't come across it yet, you should definitely check it out. They do have a YouTube and...
We have a website, tmjsyndrome.com. Just, I know that's an ailment. We just remove the Y and put an I in there, so sin, and you can find us.
Correct. It's a really cool logo. It's like a head with...
Some dude with sunglasses. Something.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Way cooler than my Geek Responsibly logo. So today we have a ton of things that we're going to talk about. And let's just get started.
Yeah. So you excited for your Game of Thrones to end?
Yes, I am extremely excited. Only because it's the last episode and I'm just ready to get over it. I just want to start something new.
I'm ready to get over it too. I don't watch it.
Which is, like I was going to say, it's funny that you're saying that you want to get over it because you don't even watch it.
Well, because I'm sick of people talking about it. But in my own defense, I was going to, I for years I was telling friends, it had gone so long that I was just going to wait for it to end to binge it.
Yes.
Then when I found out that the original author jumped off 2 seasons ago, I was like, no, because I know my personality, and if it would feel inauthentic to me, so I wouldn't even start it at that point. Because I've learned my lesson with Lost and Dexter and all those other crappy shows. I just don't want to waste my time. Not that the experience for people who do like it is invalidated. Just me personally, I don't really care at that point. If that makes sense.
No, totally understand. I did fall for Lost as well. I watched it twice because I thought I missed something.
Yeah.
And then Dexter, I got through season 3 and Lost.
It was so bad.
It was really bad.
It was so bad.
It was great for the first 2 seasons.
That's what it did. I think it fell on its own hubris.
Yeah.
It was like the producers that were like, oh my God, we got a hit show. What are we going to do? Let's fuck it up. Like.
That just reminded me of South Park. Like they're in back going, let's fuck it up.
Let's fuck it up. Let's make tons of money and then ruin it. And everybody will hate it forever.
So I started Game of Thrones after they finished the first 7 seasons.
Oh, so you came late.
I came late.
Okay.
Real late.
Cool.
I started watching it and I was like, let's see how this goes. And I got sucked in immediately. And since then, I started following the excitement of the characters and the development because it was really well done. And then all of a sudden we got to season 8 and then I was like, yep, I see what happened here.
I'm kind of glad I didn't get into it too, because what I'll probably do is it sounds like the author's pretty competent. When he finally finishes the series, I'll probably just pick it up on audiobook and I'll experience that way. Yeah. Or read it myself. It doesn't matter. But
one thing that I would say is I did read the first book and the books are intense the way that he wrote them.
Yeah.
And they don't have the same impact for certain things, such as, spoiler, Ned Stark's head getting chopped off. Season 1.
I know that, yeah.
Yeah, I know. That's why, in case.
No,
I said it. So in the book, it's literally a paragraph. And you have to go, wait, did that just happen? You go back, and then you're like, that was a fucking sentence, and his head gets cut off, and you're done.
So would you say it's more powerful in the book than in the TV show?
TV show versus the book.
Okay.
So one thing that you notice in the book is you don't get attached to anyone because there's people that die just in sentences. Where in the or in the TV show, they really latch you on. Like you think Ned Stark's the main character. He's going to be there for, he fucking died.
He gowned.
Yeah, in like 3 seasons or 3 episodes.
Okay.
Like it's literally like dead. And you're like, what the fuck? That was like a main character, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So you learn real quick, real fast. You don't get attached to anyone. And then people just get...
Yeah, well, that just means that, sometimes you can take something that has good source material and then you're able to add on it to whatever the medium you're adapting it to. But the problem when that happens, and this happens in the thing I love the most is anime, is because they adapt material all the time from manga, is either the anime goes beyond the manga and then the studio has to fill in. And you can just smell it. You can see it. It's just like, this tone is so freaking different. Like, yeah.
And that's what's happening now. Yeah. So season 8, beautifully done. Cinematics are great. CGI is fantastic. I think the story they had to focus on two different things. Or one thing out of the 2 things. Do you want good writing or do you want cinematics? I think they went, hey, let's do it so it looks really good, and we have 55-minute battle scene.
Yeah.
And people will get over it.
Yeah, that's cool. Like, for example, like, don't hate me for this, but I think the middle part of Endgame, for example, and I'm not going to spoil it for anybody, but is pretty boring story-wise.
Yeah, we
went and saw it together.
Well, no, like, I'm trying to figure out what part you're referring to.
It's just all of it to me. Like,
technically, you can spoil it because my episode before this, I talked about the whole Endgame. So
as soon as like time fuckery was introduced, my mind turned off. Like, so I often tell people it was a good movie, but when I buy it, I'm probably just gonna watch the ending fight scene. That's it.
Yeah.
And that's probably what a lot of people might do with the Game of Thrones because they're so mad about the story. You know, like, oh my god, it's the fight scene's uplifting and cool. But like I do the same thing with Man of Steel, the movie. I think Man of Steel, the movie, is pretty freaking boring until that ending fight scene with Zod.
Yeah.
I just watched that part.
But the 6th to even 7th season of Game of Thrones you'd actually really like.
In visually, you mean? Or
no,
like
just how intricate and web-like it was with all the dynamic and layers. The character development was really good because there's people that you grow up with. Because again, mind you, they're when it starts, they're like really young. Like the kids that are in it, and then all of a sudden you see them now and you're like, holy shit, how did we get here?
Yeah. But do you think like people are having like a guttural instinct with the change in tone based on is that what's happening?
Well, what they're doing is what I think is going on is you have a specific set idea in your head, and because it's been so intricate and dynamic throughout the whole 7 seasons, you get to the 8th one and it's like surface level. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like Dany is the queen of mother of dragons, wanting to be the queen, and you go, she won't do this because we've developed her character. So, oh wait, she did it. She did blow up the whole town. And you're like, well, you know, now they're going, do we want cinematics or do we want to intricately write this and then make it so that something more interesting happens? No, they didn't. They were like, we're going to just make it like what everybody like thought would probably never happen. So because it was so bland.
I've heard this argument before, so I'm going to talk about something near and dear to me, so I'm going to spoil it. If you've never read the manga Berserk, you might want to turn it off right now.
Wait.
But
look.
I'm going to... It's okay. To me, spoilers don't ruin the thing for me.
They don't, because you always will see it in a different light.
So Berserk has a giant heel turn like that, where because wasn't Daenerys like often like a heroine, seen as like a moral good?
People, you see her like that in your own head, because if you go back, she's a bitch the whole time.
But she does questionable things, right?
She does questionable things throughout the whole time. So with people being all upset going, oh my God, I can't believe she did this.
Yeah.
I'm going, didn't you watch any of the other seasons? She's been kind of a bitch and she's never really done anything.
So what I see people complaining about is they're not mad about that per se. They wish it was fleshed out more. And the reason I bring up Berserk is there is a classic heel turn like that on one of the characters. But Berserk is all about morally gray things, and also there are some black and white statements. So it's about the first couple volumes are about the black swordsman trying to get revenge, but you don't really know what he's trying to get revenge on. And then after like volume 4, I think it goes back in time, and then you get to see what happens. And it's the main character Guts joining the band of the Hawk, which is a mercenary group. And the leader Griffith is seen as like the shining knight moral good of the world, but he does questionable things throughout their time together, like ordering Guts to assassinate a politician's child, stuff like that. But in the eyes of society, he's still seen as the White Hawk. And I won't spoil the biggest heel turn, but there's a giant heel turn in the middle of the series that is designed to make you loathe Griffith, this character Griffith.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's great. But that's I believe 14 volumes of fleshing that out before it happens. So you tell me, do you think it was fleshed out enough, or do you think people are being ridiculous?
No, it wasn't fleshed out at all.
Okay.
Like I think they got to the point where they were like, we're going to do the most cinematic looking season, and then we're going to not really focus on like keeping that intricate dynamic. We're just going to go, yep, this is what happens. Let's go ahead and make it look pretty.
So one of the things that annoys me about modern day entertainment, you tell me if you think this is true or not, is I feel like some of these shows, when they take control, the biggest one I can think of that does this pretty badly is the CW superhero shows.
Yeah.
I feel like they gauge their stories based on what's popular in social media. You think this is happening here too? Like there's certain decisions being made based on what's popular in social media? Is that, are you laughing at me? Do you think is that a thing or no?
Well, the reason why I'm laughing is because I was sitting there thinking, like after I made peace with how upset I was at the last episode that we saw, I could picture these HBO guys up in wherever they're at, and they're going, "How am I gonna pay for my next cruise liner? Let's do this." I don't know. So they like made all the plans because they're like, "What's gonna sell more?"
Gotta get more money.
Yeah, exactly.
We gotta get working on that Star Wars trilogy.
Yes.
We gotta go. We fucked up Wolverine. We gotta go fuck up Star Wars. You knew that, right?
Yes,
but
I saw that. I thought that was a joke.
It wasn't both of them. It was one of them that worked on X-Men Origins Wolverine. Just horse shit.
Yeah. But now both of them, they're like a traveling pair now.
Yeah. We're gonna go work on Star Wars. We're gonna ruin that even more. We're gonna make tons of money, baby. Tons of money.
You and me. Let's go.
And then we'll go to some remote island and no one can fuck with us because they'll be all mad.
It's gonna be our own island because we've got money.
First they ruined Wolverine, then they ruined Game of Thrones, and then Star Wars.
That's the title of the news clipping that floats when the apocalypse is happening.
I bet you the same thing will happen with the Star Wars trilogy. It'll like the first two movies will probably be like super awesome, and then they'll just run out of ideas for the third one.
Yeah.
And it'll be like the biggest piece of shit ever.
Oh man. Yeah. I'm excited for it to be done. I'm over it. I made my peace. And it's great. It looks fabulous.
Yeah. Well, then, I mean, also, too, like, you get to look forward for the real ending whenever the author makes his book, right?
Yep. If he does.
You don't think he will?
I don't think so.
So
that's just me.
I've often compared, because I know George R.R. Martin is really bad about releasing books. Well, so my favorite series, once again, is Bezerk, my favorite series of all time, across everything. And Kentaro Miura is notorious for taking, like, long-ass hiatuses, like 2 years. Like, for example, I moved to Arizona in 2008, and there was a part of Berserk where they get on this boat to, like, go to this elf island. And from, like, 2008 until, I think, 2014, they're on the fucking boat. And if you read it now, it's, like, 2 chapters on the boat. It's, like, nothing. But if you were a fan and you were waiting to get off the boat, I actually had the website stillontheboat.com.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing.
Because I was so mad about the fucking boat. And then when they finally got the boat, it was so funny. Like, all of Reddit had these posts of, like, let's honor all the people who have died during the time that people were on the boat and they get to see them get off the fucking boat. So
That's so sad.
For the people who are fans of this book series, I sympathize, man. I really do.
Yeah, that's why I was like, I don't know if he will actually finish it, but if he does, that's cool. Because then, what they said is they talked with him on who is supposed to.
Okay.
And they
tweaked it.
Yeah. But still had the same person that he wanted on the throne as well. So we'll see.
You know, you might like this. It's a very short anime called Erased, which is about a kid who they don't really say how he got his powers, but he has the power to go back in time. Basically, he moves his consciousness to a younger version of himself. And the anime was being adapted about the same time that the manga was wrapping things up. So they did the same thing where they told the showrunners what they think was going to happen, but the endings are kind of the same, but not at all. So, like, the one in the manga is so much better, way more fleshed out. The one in the anime is rushed as fuck.
Yep.
So, but it's still, I can appreciate where you come from, because I will watch the Erased anime because the aesthetic looks like a Ghibli show.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So but the ending's horseshit. Just go read the manga. You know,
that's literally what we just said.
Yeah.
This one looks great.
Yeah.
Horrible, rushed, done.
Horseshit.
Yeah, and then his book will probably be super long, intricate, and completely different. But yes,
which will only add more fuel to the fire when it finally comes out, because everybody like, the fucking show fucking sucks. Fuck them.
I can't wait.
You know,
they're done with Game of Thrones. We'll probably talk about it a little bit the next time, but that's it. Then it's over.
What do you think the next cultural phenomenon TV show is going to be? Because you got all these streaming services coming out. You got Disney Plus. And I think HBO is doing a Watchman series. Did you see that?
I did see that.
I think that's good.
I think it's going to suck.
The reason why I think it's going to suck is because I'm kind of firmly on Alan Moore's side here, where Watchmen was a one-shot series that was basically a satire of superhero culture. And it's supposed to be that. So like they brought Watchmen back in the main was it the Rebirth universe? Did you read that comic? Not that good. It's called Doomsday Clock. Really bad.
I think I've seen it.
Yeah, it's not that good. It was another way for DC to fucking reboot the comic line once again. So
as per usual.
They're doing that, and then the Disney Plus has some Marvel shows.
Yeah, Loki. I think Hawkeye.
They're doing some Star Wars shows like that. The
Mandalorian
and the Cassian guy from Rogue One is supposed to be getting his own show.
Oh,
so another prequel before he dies. So
how many times do you have to die?
They're like, man, no one was really attached to our characters in Rogue One. Maybe we should just go back and do that. So then when they watch Rogue One again, they will be sad.
So dumb.
But yeah, what do you think is going to be the... Can't tell, can you? It's hard to see, huh?
Yeah, because everything's been garbage. I think now there's so much stuff and everything's so readily available to us that we get to the point where it's like, it doesn't capture us. I was just talking about this with a person at Barnes & Noble. So
some rando at Barnes & Noble?
Just random. I was paying for a book.
Okay.
I was paying for a book, and I buy literally like 2 books a week because I'm psycho. And
you get to how quickly does it take you to finish all those books?
So normally about like 30 to 60 days.
Okay.
But I read about 4 at a time. I have some comics, I have 2 audiobooks, and then usually like a regular book.
Okay.
So, so I was talking to them about how I feel like reading books and I didn't say TV shows, but I feel like TV shows and movies are similar, where it's almost like dating. So like you find something, you latch onto it. The one that I got sucked into was Will Grayson. I literally finished it in 3 days. I got the audiobook. I was listening to the audiobook when I was driving. I would come home and read the actual book. Mm-hmm. Like ridiculous. Finished it. It was amazing. And then all of a sudden it was over. And then I felt like kind of depressed, like blank.
Yeah.
For a little bit. And then I have not found a book that I could do that to again.
Well, that means that book's well written.
Yeah. Well, and it's written by 2 different people.
Sure.
And I feel that's the same with TV shows, where you can just watch them or read them, you know, like you're getting through them, but there isn't anything that's like, oh my God, I have to watch this. I have to come home and I have to finish the next episode. I have not felt that way. Maybe Sabrina a little bit. Like I loved the show.
I hated it.
But I couldn't say that it was like, oh my God, I have to like finish it now.
Yeah.
I have to figure out what happens to them.
You know, one of the reasons why I didn't like that show, to me, and it's not a show made for me at all. I feel like it's a show made for teenage girls. I'm not a teenage girl.
Which is me.
Yeah. What I don't like though, and it just something that bothers me about it, is when they take something that was kind of light and humorous and make it grimdark. Because I like occult shit. I really do. But something when they take a previous series and change it, and I understand that Sabrina, the new one, is based off a current comic novel. I get that. They're doing the same thing with the new Fresh Prince. They're taking something that was
wait. They're taking the Fresh Prince?
They're making a movie on Netflix, I think, and it's grimdark. So instead of being lighthearted and comedic, and you know Uncle Phil's out there being sweet and cool and teaching him moral lessons and shit, now it's grimdark.
No, that's stupid.
I don't like grimdark.
Yeah.
When something is already not, positive and uplifting, or taking something grimdark and making it positive. Just keep it the way it's supposed to be. Like,
yeah.
I just, one of the things that annoys me about is these companies like really try to bank off nostalgia all the time, and I almost find it predatory sometimes. I just do.
I literally was just talking about that. I'm sick of them continuously going back in the vault.
Because they're out of ideas.
Yeah, they're like, oh, what can we do? Oh, let's do Aladdin again for the 16th time.
Yeah, there's a reason.
How many Jungle Books do we have?
There's a reason why I personally think most of innovation and like film, cinema, even comics have come from other countries. Mostly like Korea, Japan, France, Indonesia. The Raid, I believe, was made in that kung fu movie. Pretty sweet. So, even like if you go, talk to old ass music artists like Billy Corgan, he actually believes the next musical revolution is going to come out of China. So,
I can see that
because we're fucking
is it gonna
bankrupt
be K-pop?
on idea. I don't know. I mean, I know music producers who actually make tracks for K-pop artists over here in America. So,
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it just is what it is. But yeah, they definitely are fucking out of ideas.
Yeah.
So they can't make anything original. So I don't know.
I've been preaching that throughout this whole podcast. I'm sick of them doing things that have already been done.
Yeah.
Find new stuff.
Well, I also think too, we don't, at least we'll talk about comics, we don't really have a huge booming creator-owned industry. What I mean by that, like Japan, for example, even though your manga might be on a weekly magazine like Shonen Jump, the author still owns the rights to their property.
Mm-hmm.
Or here it's like, oh, I'm a writer on Superman with like freaking hundreds of other individuals.
Yeah.
Great. Like I think the biggest, and there's several, so I'm not really big into indie anymore because I read too much manga, but one of the biggest creator-owned comics that I can remember in the last decade was the Scott Pilgrim series.
I love Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah. That was a creator-owned giant success. He had a movie. I've been actually hoping they actually animate the whole book because I feel like it would, because the movie kind of rushed a lot of things.
Yeah. Red
But,
makes you fat.
yeah, red makes you fat. We don't really have that though. Like in Japan, that's like, and even in France for their graphic novels, that's a part of their culture.
Yeah.
Grandmas read fucking comics. We don't do that over here, and that's probably because for years, you go back in the 60s and 70s, we had those problems where comics were only thought to be for children. So they had a code that they created, the Comics Code. I think it's called the Comics Code Authority or something like that, where certain rules couldn't be changed, so you couldn't go through certain limits. So now in our cultural mindset, comics are only for children, so you can't have comics for adults. You can't have comics for teenagers. You can't have comics for elderly people. You can, they do exist, but because they're not in the cultural mindset,
Yeah.
I
do see a lot of the indie comics. I know you said that you didn't really read those. They are trying to test the limits of what they're writing about.
Yeah.
And so there are some pretty decent.
Well,
but again, they're kind of shadowed by.
Yeah. You remember in the early 2000s, we had a pretty booming webcomic industry over here that just kind of fizzled out. Fuck yeah. 8-Bit Theater, Penny Arcade, Looking for Group, which is still around. I mean, these places are still around, but they're fairly unknown in my mind. Like, we had a huge webcomic boom that didn't go anywhere. Where in Japan, their webcomic boom became a source of basically money. So a manga artist, so One Punch Man, started out as a webcomic.
Oh, wow.
Got picked up by a publisher and became a giant success.
Yeah.
We don't do that here.
That's so sad because that one's great.
So it's on the creator, like Looking for Group is still around because they put their own money. They created their own publishing brand. I believe it's called Ferret something. I don't remember. So I apologize to anybody who knows. And they have to pay out of their own pocketbooks to print their books and other things like that. Where, we're not doing that over here because DC and Marvel are just dumb.
Yeah.
So
that is interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, started as a webcomic. I
love that
there's
one.
a anime right now that's super popular called The Rising of the Shield Hero. That was a light novel, which is like what they call novellas in Japan.
Yeah.
But it was a web novel first.
I feel like, what was that one about?
That one is Isekai series, which stands for like another world.
Okay.
So like a person from Japan goes into a fantasy realm, and then shit happens. I don't want to spoil it, but I think you'd probably like it.
Make sure to write that one down. I saw the other one that you showed me last time, but I can't.
Promise Neverland?
Yes.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, I put that one on my list to also read after I'm done with this one.
Yep. I've been collecting that one too. So, but yeah, my point is like we had this booming webcomic industry in the early 2000s and partially in the 90s, and I can think of 3 that rose to the top and are still around and make a living off their money or
Mhm.
off their. Of course, they make a living off their money off their series. So
Yeah. Well, and that goes off of, I have no idea what would be the next big TV show or sensation that people will gravitate to.
well, the big corporate types will be farming books out for that stuff. They'll be trolling through. I think honestly, I kind of think the Hunger Games started this whole craze a little bit.
How so?
I think it was one of the bigger because the Hunger.
What about Harry Potter?
Yeah, but Harry Potter was done by Warner Brothers. That's a big conglomerate. Hunger Games was made by Lionsgate, which is a smaller movie studio, and it still made Bogo Box.
Yeah.
But I personally think, at least in our modern era, because Harry Potter started in the 90s, late 90s. When did the first movie come out? 1999, 2001.
Has to be in the 2000s.
Yeah, I don't know, but my point.
I don't think it was 1990.
Not 1999. I mean, like I remember I worked at a movie theater when the first Harry Potter came out, so that had to have been like 2001, 2002,
Got it.
easily.
I was going to say, because I was about 5th grade when I got the first book.
Yeah.
But then that was in the 90s. That's crazy. I feel old.
I'm older than you. So I don't know. But they'll probably start farming out books again to try to find the next cultural.
Oh yeah, no, they already have been.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the time now when I'm reading books, I'm like, oh yeah, they're gonna make this a movie. They're gonna make this a movie series. So it just depends on. I think it also started with that fucking craze of vampires and werewolves.
Although that'll come back again. That always does.
It's so annoying. Now, the only one that I absolutely loved was Interview with a Vampire.
Well, that's Anne Rice. She knows what she's doing.
Yeah.
Queen of the Dam.
Yeah.
The book is way better than the movie. The movie sucks. But
well, yeah, I didn't watch it.
You know what's really good about the Queen of the Dam though? It has a badass soundtrack.
Does it?
Like not the original OST, like the
oh my gosh,
the bands they chose, like Disturbed and a whole bunch of people. Really good soundtrack.
I'll have
really
to check that out.
Good. Like if you like dark eclectic, either dark eclectic metal or industrial or anything like that.
Yeah.
That is like one of the all-time best soundtracks outside the fucking Crow. You remember the Crow movie soundtrack?
I remember the Crow.
So good. So.
Well, also on that note, FanFusion is coming up. Are you planning to go?
I'm only going one day this year. I'll be out downtown Friday night at the bars, but I'm not gonna go.
Ooh, fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm planning to go Friday and Saturday and then be done.
Yeah.
I might go Thursday because Chris Sabat is gonna be there and he's gonna have specific pop heroes of Vegeta. And I think I was gonna try and get one signed, but otherwise.
See, I don't know who that is.
He's the voice actor for Vegeta.
See, I don't listen to dubs.
Got it.
I was like, who the hell is Chris Sabat? And everyone's going to be like, how do you fucking not know? I don't know because I don't listen to dubs. And that's okay, guys. If you like dubs, I ain't mad. I
ain't mad.
You want to know why I never got into dubs?
Yeah. I thought you were the one that told me about the
only person I know is like Goku's voice actor, which is Sean Shamel. Yeah. Like, because he's so famous. He also does like Sonic and stuff.
Yeah. I thought you told me about the one, what is it? The Dragon Ball Z Uncut or something like that?
Oh, Abridged?
Unbridged, yes.
Yeah, but those guys are doing it for comedy purposes.
Okay.
Those dudes are, and ladies, they're up and coming. They were up and coming voice actors, and that's what they did to get their name out there. Now most of them are all professional voice actors.
Got it.
So, but I don't follow that, and the reason why is when I was growing up, VHS for anime was ridiculously expensive, like $35 for 2 episodes on one tape.
What?
So I'm from Flint, Michigan. One of the local comic shops there would bootleg subtitled anime on the worst quality VHS you could, but I only had to pay $2 for it. So I grew up on subtitled anime because it was cheap.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I've never.
That makes me so happy that you did that.
Yeah. So
VHS is $2. I like it.
Well, it was $35 back then.
That's ridiculous.
And they were following that Japanese model because over there, that's how much a Blu-ray costs for a couple episodes.
Good gosh.
So, and they were dubbed too, obviously.
Yeah.
But I had a couple dub collections, and I just couldn't keep up with it as a kid, like a little kid, like 10 years old. Also, I had to go an hour and a half north to this place called Media Play. And it doesn't exist anymore, but they were the only place within the an hour and a half that sold anime. So
Now, did you watch them quite often, like the same tapes, or did you just wait for the next ones? Could you actually understand what they were saying without reading subtitles?
Well, no, so the guy bootlegged it, but either he subtitled it or he got someone out. And the reason why the quality was so bad, it was taped in Japan on TV, and then somebody had to retape over with the subtitles on there.
Wow.
And then the quality suffered for it, but it was whatever. So yeah.
Okay, got it.
This is before you could download this shit. So
so why are you planning to only go one day?
You know, to me it's just a bunch of like, I don't know, just stuff, merch. It's like merch con. That makes sense.
Oh, totally.
And
merch
I never
celeb con.
Yeah, I don't really get into panels, not because they're bad, they're cool, I guess, but because I grew up in the entertainment industry, and a lot of people don't know this, I grew up in the entertainment industry. My mom's a singer. I lived on the road with her band. All that stuff's been demystified for me.
Mm-hmm.
So an actor or a podcast host or a comic book writer talking about their success, I don't really care.
Yeah.
Like, so not that it's I'm not saying that I'm diminishing their success. I don't care. Because it's been demystified for me. I know you have to bust your ass. I know what you have to do to become talented. Talent alone isn't enough to get you through. You have to like bust your ass to do it.
Oh yeah.
And sometimes that's cool, but I'd rather read a biography of the whole deal. Does that make sense?
Yeah, instead of like a 15, 30 minute sit and somebody ask questions. Yeah.
And then like, I've never really understood, and it just goes over my head, so I'm not trashing anyone who likes this. I never understood autographs. I just don't get it. You know, like walking up to a table to get someone to sign somebody. Like, I get it. I do, and I don't. This has been demystified for me.
Yeah.
So, you know.
No, I totally get it. I think the only thing is I get a bunch of my books signed, but it's because I go to their meet and greets. Mm-hmm. So I go and I buy the book, I sit and listen to them, and then get it signed, and then I mean, I'm still reading it. Like,
I don't have any proof of this. I haven't looked up any numbers, but back in the day, you used to get things signed like comic books or baseball cards or whatever, and it increased their value.
Yes.
Do you think that exists anymore?
I don't. So, I think so. Because, like, if you look at some of the comic books that I've seen, they go and still get them graded.
Yeah.
If they get like a 9.8 or higher, I've seen them go for a couple $1,000s. Mm. So, but they have to be like in mint condition. People actually have to watch it. So I think there is still something to it.
The digital revolution kind of diminishes that a bit, doesn't it?
A little bit, because now you get to the point where you can actually, like, for example, I have been on Instagram and all of a sudden somebody quote unquote famous direct messages me, or like I can reach out to someone because I'm watching their story and I could like make a comment, and if they choose to message back, I'm like, oh my gosh, this person responded. Or I can like their photo, make a comment, and they liked my comment. So now I'm like, that's almost like an autograph.
That's also been demystified for the public a little bit. You know, so I was gonna say,
do you think that they like, for example, if there is a famous person and because of all the stuff that happens, like we were just talking about, like if you say something incorrect and somebody is offended and then finds you, do you think now like famous people are like always like, oh my God, I gotta try and respond so no one gets upset?
So I'll give you a smaller version of this. And I this is why it's been compounded. This thing where like a celebrity does something that one side doesn't like or does like has been in the music industry for forever. Like you could go to, but it was much smaller. Like you wouldn't know like Billy Corgan was kind of a dick unless you went to one of his shows and went backstage. Right?
Got it.
And then that meme would spread in whatever scene you were in.
Yeah.
You know, or like for example, I've been involved in many music scenes. Almost all of them would say Jimmy Urine of Mindless Self-Indulgence is a super nice guy, which he is. I've met him before. But you would get that point where it's like X is an asshole, but he makes good music. But I feel like when it's nowadays, because it's so widespread, it'll be like, X is an asshole, I will never watch his shit again.
Yeah.
Whereas the music industry is like, yeah, he's a fucking dick, but they say the same thing about Maynard from Tool. Like, Maynard's a fucking asshole, but my God, he makes good shit.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think he's an asshole, but that's my point, though. But it seems like with social media, with other genres, I guess you could say, with like books or movies or whatever, if someone goes off the rails and says something that somebody doesn't like, people are just like, fuck.
Yep.
And I kind of get that knee-jerk reaction a little bit, too, myself. So, and I have to catch myself and be like, this is dumb. And then that's why I don't really participate in social media too much. So,
yeah.
But yeah.
You do have to keep it balanced, and you have to remind yourself.
Yeah.
A lot of the times I try and keep things very simple, and like even if somebody's being negative on my social media, I'm just like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
No. But I guess I didn't address your original question, though. I do think that if they're savvy enough, they are being cognizant of what they're saying on social media.
Yeah.
And that what does that do to them or not? I don't know if does that change their demeanor, does that change their art? Are they just lying? Because you can do that, and who knows? So yeah, definitely. The new revolution, which I actually think, if you look at numbers too, I actually think social media is actually, the way we know it now, is going to be drastically different by the time, in 10 years.
Oh yeah, it's already changing.
Because the younger generation isn't adopting Facebook and Twitter like ours did.
Mm-hmm.
So they're basically using closed source social media stuff. I don't know if that's even the right word, but basically like a Discord, which is more of like a private server where you have to invite people, or a Snapchat where you can only add your friends.
Yep.
Stuff like that. So they seem to be gravitating to those things, or like, like the TikTok stuff like that, versus going to YouTube. So these companies they'll either innovate. So Facebook, for example, they see their user base going down, so they bought Instagram. Most people are on Instagram now. Yep. So when people are like, "Oh, Facebook's dying," I'm like, "Yeah, but Instagram's rising, and they own it." So, they saw the writing on the wall, and they got their own version of Snapchat, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, they added the stories, they added the Instagram TV, they added they actually made it now that if you have a business page, you have to link it to Facebook.
Really?
Oh yeah.
For what, the ads? You want to sell ads?
No, I don't know.
Could be.
I actually don't know, but that it like connects, like you have to have it on Facebook.
Yeah.
So, very interesting.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So now I think that with, like, it almost, for me now, like, it's so easy to talk to or connect with famous people that it's hard for me to, like, it'd be really cool to meet certain people, like, if you never will be able to reach out to them, or they're dying.
Yeah.
Like, or whatever it may be. Like, it could be cool. I'm not going to pay $180
Fuck no.
dollars to get a photo, and like, when I was at one of the cons, Portland, it was Portland, and I was sitting there, I was cleaning up the booth, and Jay came, Jason Mew came, came walking up, and I was like, oh my God, I had the biggest crush on you in high school. He's like, you're still in high school, right? Yeah. And then I was like, oh my gosh, can I please get a photo? Like, because that was somebody that I actually like grew up with. I loved everything by Kevin
Smith.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, that meant a lot to me, but I didn't have to pay.
No.
He came up to me, like, I didn't go in line. I didn't go and sit with him, like, and then I had to realize, like, I'm not going to come the next day and be like, oh, remember you said hi to me? Like, no, you just be cool and you're done.
I imagine they have those pay barriers, though, because not everybody's as reasonable as you.
I guess.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
why is he not saying hi to me? We just had a connection yesterday.
Also, that's how a lot of them make money, too. Yeah. So, not to say I would never fucking pay for that in a million years. Like, in a million years. I don't even like doing the microtransaction things in video games. Like, I'd never. Right. I'd rather buy something more productive. Like, I don't know. Yeah. But the funny thing, too, is I remember what I wanted to say, too, with, like, the digital goods thing going on, too. That's why I'm so resistant to streaming video game media. That's, like, the new thing. It's like, what do you mean? Like, Google has this thing called Stadia, where they're going to be able to basically play, like, something like an Assassin's Creed Odyssey through a web browser. It'll never be on your hard drive. It'll be on their servers. Weird. I don't like that. I don't like that either. And everyone's like, yeah, but you get Steam, it's digital. Like, I don't even really like that, but I have no choice in that matter. You can't even get physical PC media anymore. Yeah, which I always have an issue with that, because I like
I liked it, but that's the same that goes for like books.
Yeah.
So like I have a Kindle, but I read actual book.
Yeah.
Or I do audio. And the only reason why I do audio is because I like the voice actors. That's it.
And people are on the go. You know?
Well, and I'm always, when I drive, it's nice to listen to. Steve loves graphic novels in audio form. Okay. Have you ever heard that?
No.
Oh my God. There's a series. I'll actually find it. It's on my Goodreads, but he had me listen to it when we went to California, and it's like a cinematic experience audio.
For your ears.
For your ears.
It's
so like,
good.
There's like gunshots, people, like things blowing up.
Do you think, maybe you know this, you know how ASMR is like so big? Do you think there's like ASMR books and then the voice actor reads it in ASMR like whisper mode?
Oh yeah.
That's so stupid.
It's so fucking weird. Did I ever tell you when I first got sucked into ASMR? I didn't get sucked in.
I never knew you were.
No, I'm not sucked in. So I went on to, I started streaming, and all of a sudden I was like, what's ASMR? Because I like just looking at the channels, trying to figure out like what's new, what's big, what I can kind of leech into.
Yeah.
And I saw ASMR, and this chick was standing there, and she had 2,000 people in the room. And I was like, okay, like, let's check this out. And then all of a sudden I go on it, and she's like going, I was like, what are you doing? And then she like opens a bag, and she's like crinkling it on one side. And then she like goes over here and does something because she has that weird mic. Yeah. I was like, what the fuck is this? Steve turns around and goes, what are you fucking listening to? I go, I don't know, but there's like 2,000 people in here probably thinking the same exact thing. And then you see
it's
just
like the digital freak show.
Yeah, and people like are just commenting going, what the fuck is going on? And then others are probably just like fap.
Probably. It's like I think it is. I think people are watching it for the cringe. But...
Oh yeah. By the way, her shirt was probably like this far down.
Oh Jesus.
And her camera was tilted only like about here.
Yeah.
So it literally was like her eyeballs down.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So
yeah.
Pretty sure it was just a fapping fest.
I don't want to get lewd or anything, but guys, I don't understand that. You can go get the real deal, like all of the thing you want for free on Pornhub. I don't understand why you're. I don't get it.
Oh my God! Speaking
of
that,
when I was a kid and I was curious, I saw a Playboy, and then there was a Hustler. Playboy was like the nice version, and Hustler was like the extreme one.
Yeah.
Okay. Guess what one I gravitated towards? It wasn't the nice one. It was the Hustler.
No, wait. Have you found adult comic books yet?
No.
Oh my God. I fell into that rabbit hole, and I was like completely amused through the whole thing. But it was more so like ASMR. I was like, do they really get this? Like there was a Hogwarts one, and it was all Harry Potter, and they were just getting it on, and it was really good art.
Yeah.
So like I couldn't.
Oh.
I was like, this is great.
Like hentai, basically, but
Pretty
American
much,
version. That makes sense. I bet you. Now that I think about it, I bet you people are more into the possible interaction with the individual that they're trying to sexualize, I guess you could say.
Got it. Like on stream.
Yeah. Like maybe that's what it is. Yeah. It's a connection thing. I don't understand
They just want her to notice them. But the thing is that she's quiet and she's not talking. She's not doing anything. She's not going to message. Actually, she does play some games. Like she does play some games and like interacts with her chat.
When I was that age.
2,000 people though.
Yeah. If I was lonely, I'd just go to a music show and meet people. That's what I do now. Like I don't get on this. I don't get it. I'm not saying it can't be around. Do your thing. I just don't understand.
Yeah.
I
don't know.
So that's my get off my lawn moment.
On that note.
Yeah.
So 2 weeks ago, we played Dungeons and Dragons. It was my first time. You've played it?
I've played on and off since I was 17. I got into it late.
Okay.
Because nerd stuff when I grew up was not sometimes safe to talk about. That makes sense.
I can understand that.
When I went to school. So I had a friend. I did move schools when I was 16 or 17. It was one of those two ages. My mom and I moved from Flint to this small podunk town called Bertrand. So I graduated from the school system, but it was an adult high school. And this guy Rick had got me into D&D and Warhammer, and he gave me a magic deck. and then he dropped out, and I barely saw him again. So
Yeah.
And then later on in life, I met some other people from that school, and they got me into second edition D&D 3.5. And then I played for a long time. I fell off the bandwagon. When I first moved out to Arizona, I actually was playing with a group in Tucson. So every weekend I was driving down there to do that, and then I got old real fucking quick. So,
yeah. I think I remember that.
Yeah.
I vaguely remember you going down to Tucson to do something.
Yep. It was that.
Interesting.
So that's my
I thought it was awesome.
abridged version.
I'm excited. I can't wait to play again. I would like to be able to actually tweak my character and get my backstory a little bit more, but I'm just trying to figure out how to play.
Yeah, I wouldn't really worry about the backstory first time playing, honestly.
Yeah.
I would just worry about how you create your story with the character. Like, what do you want it to be?
Yeah.
That's what I do. When I first started role playing, I was a monster to play with. Like, I ruined so many games.
How? What'd you do?
Jackass.
Were you chaotic evil?
Nah, usually.
Did you say nah, usually?
I always play. So for me, it's like, it's very hard to play lawful characters for me because I am not lawful at all in real life. Like, I'm pretty chaotic.
And it's annoying.
Yeah. So I usually play chaotic good, neutral. I rarely do. But there was this one time where this one DM pissed me off so much that I coup de grace the entire team. The coup de grace is killing someone in their sleep, and I passed every roll check. So I fucked up the whole campaign because I didn't like him. But back in the day, I was kind of an asshole. So
kind of.
Yeah. So when I first started role playing, I was, I had a turbulent way of doing it. And then it's funny. I was actually thinking about this too. One of the things you might want to look into getting into, since you like to write, is becoming a dungeon master, because it improves your writing, and two, it's easier to do because you have to work within the framework of whatever the realm is. So, like, I don't know if they still do this, but back in the day they had campaign realms, and one of my favorite campaign realms was Planescape, which doesn't really, it still exists, you can still play it, but they haven't really they haven't renewed the realm. But Planescape is all like different planes of existence within the D&D universe. So you have some crazy ass shit like tieflings and demons and succubuses walking around.
Oh wow.
And everything's a portal and goes somewhere else. It's fucking wacky as shit. But then there's like non-wacky shit like Forgotten Realms or Dragonlance or Ravenloft. Like Ravenloft is like the vampire setting, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Dark Sun is like the desert arena setting. But my point is you can use those settings and then write within those settings because it basically removes you having to dream the world up yourself. You just work within the existing world. So it's good to improve your own writing skills in that fantasy setting by kind of like giving you a template to work with, if that makes sense.
What would be ways or steps to be able to get to being a DM?
Well, you get to pick up the player's handbook and read.
I have that.
So get through that, and then if you're doing a specific setting, usually there's a companion handbook for that.
Okay.
Like I said, they haven't done Planescape since the 90s, late 90s, maybe early. I think the last handbook they had was called the Planner Handbook for 3.5, but it wasn't called Planescape anymore. And the reason I bring it up is the one I'm most familiar with. But yeah, you would have to find a setting and then read the setting rules or whatever it is in that realm, and then work within that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I'll have to look into that. Even if I didn't become a DM and I just worked off of whatever the world was, that'd be kind of cool.
But it's a good way. Some of my favorite writers ever, at least in like video games, for example, started out being really good DMs.
See, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I like it. Noah writes really well.
Mm-hmm. So Chris Avallone being one of my favorite, and he's like,
what did he write? He sounds familiar.
He's wrote a lot of books, but mostly novellas. But he is more of a game writer. That's his main gig. So he did Planescape Torment, which is one of my favorite games of all time. Really hard to get into as a new person because the combat's fundamentally broken, and there's a fuck ton of dialogue, and there's no voice. There's barely any voice acting. So if you're used to voice acting, kind of just throwing shit at you all the time, you're gonna hate the game. But then he took concepts of that and brought that over to Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2, which is
nice.
Which, if you play that game with the restored content patch, which restores the stuff that they had to remove, because when Knights of the Old Republic 2 first came out and you beat it, it was horseshit. The restored content makes it a masterpiece. So he did that, and he did Alpha Protocol, and he wrote some of the
liked Alpha
characters in
Protocol.
Fallout New Vegas. So
Interesting.
yeah, he's really good. But he started out working doing writings for Wizards of the Coast before he got into video games. So he was a DM.
Nice.
So, yeah,
I'll have to check that out.
Yep. So good shit. We'll be doing it on the 31st again. Is that the next campaign? I believe 31st.
Yes.
Something like that. So yeah, we on that one he was only doing tests to get everybody comfortable with the mechanics. So we actually haven't even started the adventure yet.
Really?
Yeah.
Already there was so much I felt.
Yeah, but that was literally just like, the tutorial before the game starts.
Interesting.
Because he likes to do that to make sure everybody understands. Because he's not a DM that will like hold your hand. Some DMs will do that to make the campaign so safe that you can't die. So people just fuck off and do things they wouldn't really do, like go up to a high level character and start talking shit to him. And if the DM's super nice, that NPC is not gonna fucking hit you with his fucking axe.
Oh my god!
My best DMs are the ones where if I talk shit and I fail my fucking check, I might die, and I probably should die.
Yeah. What happens when you die? Are you able to? You have to start a new character. There's two things.
It depends on what the DM rules. If the DM allows resurrection, some people don't. You can pick if the body isn't too mutilated. You can take the body to a cleric and have them resurrected, or if you have a cleric in your party that's high enough level to have the spell, they can resurrect you. The problem is usually, let's say, I don't know, I got hit with a fireball and I exploded. I ain't coming back. I got to reroll. New character.
Wow.
Yeah, but
did you have to create a new character on the spot? Level 1?
Usually next session. I usually just, you sit out the rest of that session.
Really?
Yeah, and then next session you'll have a new character, and then the DM will introduce a way for the current party to see the new character, beat the new character.
But it has to be level 1.
It depends on the rules. They may not do that. They may let you start at your current level, but that other character is gone.
Yeah, so you can't bring that one back.
Yeah, the cool thing about Dungeons & Dragons is you can make your own rules. So if you want to be hardcore about it and say, okay, you got to reroll level 1, do it, then that's what they'll say. But if they say, no problem, you can just start at the same level you were at before. It just depends on the rule set that they create. You can create your own rules. You can tweak the rules. You can do whatever you want. I mean, you don't have to do hard and fast what the book says.
Yeah.
So,
I'm really excited. I wish I would have started it sooner, but I'm glad that I'm at least starting.
Yeah.
At one point in my life.
Well, they've made it way easier. Like 5th edition, good. If you go back to 2nd edition, that was a nightmare to understand because, you had things like called THAC0, which you had to do. You had to say, if I had a THAC0 of 16, then I have to then take the armor class of the thing I'm hitting and then remove that from my THAC0 score, and it was a fucking crazy fucking time. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't do math.
Yeah. So... And then D&T 3.5 just made it a little bit easier, or 3.0, 3.5, by just adding bonuses. So if you roll a 17 and you're using a sword and your sword has a +2 to attack, then you add that +2 and you roll a 19.
Yep.
So much easier than fucking trying to figure out THAC0. So,
yeah,
but now
it's
ultra easy. Like,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was interesting. Yeah. Cause you could be like, okay, I have this, add 2 to that. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's why so D&D I think pretty much had a split in its community though, because the ones in the community that liked the more complex stuff, a company popped up that created a series called Pathfinder, which is basically basically D&D 3.5 in terms of complexity. So that split the community down the line. D&D went a little more streamlined, whereas Pathfinder is a little more difficult. So this depends on what you like. Yeah. So
I thought it was fun. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I can't wait to play again. So we aren't going to be doing a Now Kiss character. I just wanted to know why you didn't like shipping it.
Why don't I like shipping? That's just not for me. I just think it's stupid. I don't know.
Girls like it.
I'm sure they do, and that's okay. That's for them. I don't get into it. I don't like it. One thing that really rubs me the wrong way is if I'm going to watch a romance, I'll watch a romance, right? Not everything has to have those things in it. That makes sense.
Yes.
I'm the type of person that if I'm watching an action movie and has a cheesy romance scene, I'm rolling my eyes. But if I go watch
True Crimes? Sure. Not True Crimes. What is that? True Lies.
True Lies.
With Arnold Schwarzenegger.
It's stupid. But if I go watch like The Notebook, or if I go watch the anime Fruit Baskets, which is a romance, then I'm in the mood for a romance.
Wait, Fruit Baskets?
Yeah, Fruit Baskets.
Is it good?
Yeah, it's what they call a reverse harem. So harem anime started in the 90s, where it's like a male character surrounded by beautiful women that all want him. Well, Fruit Baskets is a reverse harem. It's a girl surrounded by pretty men that all want her.
This is amazing. How have I not heard of this?
It's super. Well, it's an older series, and they actually just they just started a remake of it. So it's not like a remake for nostalgia reasons, just updated anime visuals and stuff like that. But the premise is there's this family that are cursed by the Chinese zodiac. So whenever they take the embrace of the opposite sex, they turn into their animal of the Chinese zodiac. So rat, cat, dog, all that
tiger.
stuff. Yep. And the main character Toru is her mother died, so she's living on her own, and she gets taken in by this family that turns into animals when you hug them, and they're all very pretty men, and it's it's a romance series. So
this is awesome.
And you can't tell which one she's gonna get with, because they say, oh, she's gonna go with the guy who's the cat, because the cat's cursed, and she's always empathized with the cat, but then she also has this thing going on with the dude who's the rat. Like it's I don't know. I'm not explaining it very well. It's a good series, but my point is like, if I'm in the mood for a romance, I'll watch a romance. I don't like my food to touch. How about that? You know how some people like that? I don't like it when like a serious action movie like pushes into stupid romance, and everyone on the internet like, I wonder if they're gonna have sex. And then I'm just like, I don't care. If it's so cringe I have to roll my eyes, like, it takes me out of it.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So
no, that totally makes sense. Yeah, I feel like a lot of the times that a good TV show or movie will force it into the storyline. Yeah. I agree.
So I feel like
it's still fun to think about.
I guess it is, but then everyone, like, not everyone. A subset of people flip out when their ship doesn't happen.
Yeah.
They start freaking out. Like,
well, then fan fiction happens, and we all know how much you love fan fiction.
I don't hate fan fiction. Is a good device to make people become good writers. It's the problem when people fall in love with their own fan fiction and believe that to be the real story. Same thing with people who fall in love with their own theories on movies that aren't out yet, or whatever series are not out yet.
Well, that's what's happening with Game of Thrones.
Absolutely. So, the thing.
It's a thing.
One of the things when you start doing music production, they say don't fall in love with don't fall in love with your first couple songs, because they're gonna be horrible.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna take it to heart when people's like, this fucking sucks. And you're like, ooh. You should know it's gonna suck. It's okay. It'll get better. So.
Well, that's with everything. I don't think it's just music. Like for books too. Like I get it. Some people could have really good one-off books or whatever. But at the same time, a lot of authors that are really good have had books throughout their whole time, and then all of a sudden one hits.
Yeah.
Like look at Stephen King.
Yeah.
He had buttloads of books that he wrote, and all of them were shit. Nobody liked him. And then all of a sudden he wrote one, and they were like, oh God.
And then he let people fuck up the series. Dark Tower.
Oh God. Let's not talk about that.
No, but I don't get me wrong. If you want to be a shipper, be a shipper. I like anime, and shipping probably, I think it'll feel like originated there. So I'm not saying you can't do that. I just find it annoying. That's all. So I don't participate.
No worries. I won't hold it against you.
Fine.
Otherwise, is there anything else that you wanted to talk about? That's pretty much all I had.
No.
Exciting.
I haven't been doing much nerd stuff lately. I've been, been busy. So
I agree. I've been reading a lot. Oh, which reminds me, for those who are watching Game of Thrones and are really devastated, or just want something that's going to be a fantasy type book or so, Name of the Wind has been really awesome so far. I don't know if you've read it.
I think it's been recommended to me. I think I have it on my Audible wish list.
Yes, audio is what I'm listening to right now, and it's awesome. Really well written, and so far I like the dynamic of all the characters and what's going on. So I highly recommend it. They just had their, I don't know, some anniversary, 10th anniversary Patrick Rothfuss is the writer, and he has 2 other ones they're called the Kingkiller Chronicles.
Mitch and Tim told me to read what it is. Kingkiller Chronicles.
Yes.
Yep.
I have the book if you want to borrow it.
Oh, I got it on my wish list. I give my credit. My credit has to go through.
Yeah. I highly recommend it.
So,
it's really good. So far, I'm listening to the audio, so you'll like it.
Or if you want the true dark fantasy, you read Berserk.
Yes. or would you recommend reading it over watching?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
100%. Berserk has had problems with its adaptations.
Got it.
And to really appreciate, like, Kentaro Miura, when it comes to art, is a god.
That's what you said. That's why I liked it.
And you can even see him get better over time. It's so awesome. Like, he starts out amazing and just gets fucking better.
That is awesome.
But if you are a person that likes to watch things, the 1997 anime is probably the best in terms of story. But the movie trilogy that's been updated is passable. It misses a lot of things, but it's passable. And the new CGI Berserk series is faithful to the manga, but looks like shit. Like, visually looks like shit.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So, apparently Netflix is trying to get their hands on it, too. I would only be okay with it if they actually just buy the rights to it and let a Japanese studio do it.
Yeah.
I would not want an American version of Berserk. I think they would dumb it down a lot. There's some really
gruesome.
There's some really tough themes in there.
Yeah, we talked about that briefly. That's probably why I bought the book.
Yeah, like it's so tough that the reason why Berserk's had a really rough history with adaptations is because most of it can't be just.
Got it.
So
that makes sense. Well, on that note, I have nothing else that we're going to be covering, so that's exciting.
Yeah.
Make sure to hit that bell for notifications for anything else that pops up, like comic reviews and other shorts.
And you should like and comment because actually the algorithm likes that better nowadays.
Oh, do that.
Definitely. Or even dislike helps too, believe it or not. You know that?
If you didn't like this one, make sure to dislike it.
They call it interaction. The more you have interaction in your video, the more it's recommended on YouTube.
Well, there we go. We would greatly appreciate it. Also, I like your comments anyway because you like to tell me what I missed, what we touched based on, and I try and tweak it, make it better for you guys. So also subscribe. And
leave an iTunes review.
That would be great, but most people listen to it on YouTube. But anywho, iTunes, highly recommend liking because
I feel like I'm because I do this on my own podcast too. I'm like, leave me an iTunes review.
I'm totally cool with that.
Just even if you hate me.
I put an iTunes review on there just to make sure that it was going through.
Yeah.
As William Shakespeare. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So that was me.
Somebody's like, oh my god, he came back from the dead.
Can't believe he likes it so much. I'm gonna have to listen to it.
Literary genius.
Exactly. Well, you guys, always a pleasure. And always remember to geek responsibly.